Hello everyone, I'm Oleksandr Trofimenkov, the brand chef of KICA Academy. Today I have an extra fun class for you. Let's see how to make the hedgehog cake pops. These cute cake pops are made using two main textures: the delicious chocolate sponge and dark chocolate ganache mixture and the crisp dark chocolate coating. The main part will be made by mixing together the dark chocolate ganache with sponge crumbs to form the body of a sweet little hedgehog. By inserting the sunflower seeds in the sponge, I'll get the spiky pines of the hedgehog. With white and dark chocolate, I'll draw the hedgehog's eyes and nose, making it into a little character. I'll add the handcrafted marzipan apples and mushrooms to the top of my hedgehogs, so they look extra cute. Okay, that's enough talking. It's time to start making them. So now I'll show you how to make the chocolate ganache. Here I'm using several basic components that can be found in any grocery store, which makes this ganache extremely easy to make. So here I have the whipping cream, then I have the dark chocolate. I'm using 70% dark chocolate in this recipe, but you can easily switch it to any percentage you wish, but make sure to use dark one to balance the sweetness of the recipe. Then I have some room temperature butter, a bit of invert sugar. It will help me create a very elastic, very smooth and delicate ganache that melts in your mouth and does not dry out too fast in the display. If you don't have the invert sugar, you can easily replace it with regular honey. Honey will impart its own flavor, but if you're okay with it, then use honey in the recipe. If not, then skip this ingredient completely. Your ganache will still be okay, it will still be delicious, it will still be creamy and beautiful. The last component, the sea salt, to balance the sweetness and add the complexity of flavor. The preparation process is simple. First, I need to combine the whipping cream, the invert sugar, and the salt in the saucepan. So first, I put the invert sugar. Then I add the salt. And finally, I add the whipping cream. Now I start warming everything together until the invert sugar melts, the salt dissolves, and the mixture reaches about 80 degrees Celsius. It is also okay to bring this mixture to a boil. Nothing bad will happen. So now the whipping cream has reached the boiling point. I remove it from heat. And now I'll proceed to the next step. So here I have the jug. I'll place the chocolate into the jug. And now I'll pour the hot liquids directly over the chocolate. And now, using a hand blender, I'll make sure everything is properly combined. I'll blend the mixture to mix the liquids which are present in the whipping cream and the fats that are present in the chocolate. Like this, I'll create the good and stable emulsion. After blending the whipping cream with the chocolate, you should have the mixture which looks like this. Very smooth, shiny and beautiful. Perfect. Now I'll add the room temperature butter to it. We'll blend it once again to create even more beautiful texture, even shinier, even more elastic. And like this, the ganache will melt in the mouth faster and will be more delicious. After adding the butter, I'll place it in the mixing bowl. We'll cover it with a plastic wrap and we'll leave it at room temperature to crystallize for at least 6 hours. After that, I'll be able to use it. So now the ganache is ready. As you can see, it has liquefied a bit more, and now it is perfect. It is ready. I can transfer it into the cling mixing bowl, cover it with the plastic wrap touching the surface, and leave it to crystallize at room temperature, which is about 20–22 degrees Celsius maximum, for about 6 hours. After this time, when the ganache sets to a creamy texture, I'll be able to use it. If your room temperature is more than 22 degrees Celsius, I recommend putting the ganache in the fridge and checking its texture from time to time. Once creamy and set, take it out and use it straight away. Now I'll show you how to make the chocolate sponge, which will be used to make our hedgehog cake pops. This recipe is basic, it is versatile, it can be used for multiple creations like layered cakes, individual cakes, and these cake pops as well. So to make the sponge, I will need the room temperature eggs, then some sifted all-purpose flour, sifted alkalized cocoa powder, which contains about 22% fat. This is a rich cocoa powder with intense color and intense flavor. If you cannot find it, you can use any other cocoa powder that you have, but keep in mind that the color of the baked sponge and its flavor might be slightly different. Then granulated sugar. You can use any type of raw sugar instead of this one if you wish. A little bit of sea salt to balance the sweetness, and the melted butter at 45 degrees Celsius for extra depth of flavor and for the delicate texture of the sponge. So it is not too rubbery, so it has melt in your mouth texture. I'll start the preparation by whipping the eggs with sugar and salt in a stand mixer with a whisk on high speed until increased in volume, until a light and fluffy foam appears. This will take about 10 minutes. So I'll place the eggs first. Then I add the sugar and the salt. Now I start whipping everything, first on low speed, and then I'll increase the speed to the maximum. After about 10 minutes of whipping, the mixture of the eggs and sugar and salt is ready. As you can see, it has increased in volume a lot. It looks super airy. The mixture is rather thick and it is almost white in color, like this. Now I'll proceed to the next step. I will mix the dry ingredients, the sifted flour and the cocoa powder. I'll combine them with a whisk, and then we'll add this mixture to the whipped eggs over here. So I'll add the cocoa powder to the flour. I'll mix everything with a whisk. And now I'll add this mixture into the eggs over here, and we'll fold everything gently with a spatula. I'll be adding the mixture gradually, like this. And then, starting from the center, I will fold it into the whipped egg mixture. Gently, carefully, not to break the air bubbles which are present in the whipped egg mixture. So now the sponge batter is almost ready. As you can see, all the dry ingredients have been mixed in properly. Now it is the melted butter what is left to add. To facilitate the mixing process, I'll add a little bit of chocolate batter inside the mixing bowl with the melted butter. I'll mix gently like this until combined fully. Perfect. And now I'll add this mixture over here. Like this, it will be much faster to mix with the rest of the ingredients. Okay, so now the chocolate sponge cake batter is ready. It looks like this. It is super airy. It has beautiful texture with lots of air bubbles inside. And now I'm ready to bake it. I'll pour it into the silicone mat with borders 1 centimeter in height. I'm using a regular 35 by 35 silicone mat. You can use any mold you have, the silicone mold, any cake ring, any springform pan, whatever you prefer, because in any case, we're gonna break the sponge into crumbs to mix with the ganache later on. So it does not matter what are you baking your sponge in. So pour it here. Now I spread it evenly with an offset spatula like this. Now I'll bake the sponge at 165 degrees Celsius for about 10 to 12 minutes. It may take shorter or longer depending on the oven, so keep an eye on your sponge. It has to rise well. It should spring back when you press on it. Then it means it is ready. I'll show you the way the sponge looks when it is perfectly done, so you can compare the sponge I bake here to the one you bake at home and then take it out just in time. After spending 12 minutes in the oven at 165 degrees Celsius, the sponge is ready. As you can see, it has risen. It springs back when I press on it, which means it is perfectly ready. Now I'll leave it to cool down room temperature for at least 1 hour, and then I'll be ready to proceed to the next step. Okay, so now when the sponge has cooled down completely, I can proceed to making the cake pops. First, I'll remove the baking paper. And now I'll break the sponge into pieces and then we'll crush them in the food processor into fine crumbs. Alternatively, you can do this by hand. Simply crush the sponge with your palms if you don't have the food processor. So break. Okay, so now I'll transfer the sponge into the food processor and we'll start mixing to obtain crumbs. So in several seconds, the crumbs are ready. The sponge should turn into this, fine crumbs, like these, beautiful, uniform size. And now I'll start adding the ganache. If you remember, I've made the ganache earlier and let it crystallize. Now it has really smooth and beautiful texture, like this. Now I'll be adding this ganache little by little to the crumbs and we'll be mixing on low speed to obtain the texture that I'm looking for. I need the texture which is pliable, flexible, soft, and delicate at the same time. It should melt in your mouth. Okay, so now I add a first portion of the ganache, a little bit. And I start mixing. I continue by adding the next portion. After adding the ganache, the texture of the cake pop mixture should be like this. It should not be too creamy, it should not be too soft, but it should be flexible. You should be able to shape anything, in our case the hedgehog, out of it. So it should be like this. If you continue mixing, it will start liquefying, and this is not what we're looking for. We need some structure. So keep an eye on the texture of the cake pop mix. It should be like this. Immediately after mixing, I'll start shaping the hedgehog cake pops. First, I'll scale 50 grams of the cake pop mix, and then we'll show you how to shape the hedgehog out of it. So you take 50 grams. I use the scale to be more precise and to make sure all of them are of the same size. Okay, then I roll it into a ball and place it on a tray. Okay, so now I'm ready to shape the hedgehogs. To do this, I'll take the bowl of the cake pop mix, then I'll roll it gently to create a teardrop shape, like this, carefully. You can do this between your hands, you can do this on the table, it is up to you. So when the teardrop shape is ready, lift this part a little bit upwards to create the nose of the hedgehog, like this, and press gently over here. Okay, so now this is ready, and I'll do the same to the rest of the cake pop hedgehogs. Okay, so now once I have the hedgehogs shaped, I need to add some spikes on their backs. To do this, I will use the sunflower seeds over here. So I'll take the seeds and we'll put them inside the hedgehog, like this. Okay, so now my hedgehogs are almost ready. As you can see, all of them have spikes on their backs. Now I'll place them in the freezer for several hours until they harden, and then I'll be able to glaze and decorate them. So now I'll show you how to make the dark chocolate coating for the hedgehog cake pops. To make it, I'll need just 2 ingredients: the melted dark chocolate at 45 degrees Celsius and the neutral flavored oil. I'm using grapeseed oil, but you can use sunflower, rapeseed oil, any that you prefer, which has no flavor. The process is simple. I'll combine the 2, we'll mix them with a spatula, and that's it. It will be ready to use. So I add the oil and I mix. And the idea of adding the oil is to make the coating a bit less hard. If you cover with chocolate only, it will be hard and might crack. The oil helps release that tension in the chocolate. It helps making it a bit more flexible. And like this, the coating will cover the cake pops perfectly and it will not crack. And at the same time, it will be solid enough to look beautiful and to look completely smooth on the surface of the cake pops. So now the chocolate coating is ready. As you can see, it is a bit more liquid than the chocolate itself, thanks to the oil. Now I'll transfer it into a jug. I'll make sure its temperature is 40 degrees Celsius, and then I'll be ready to use it to glaze the cake pops. Okay, so now I have everything ready to start glazing the hedgehog cake pops. The chocolate coating is at 40 degrees Celsius. The cake pops are frozen. Now I'll insert the toothpick, the skewer, from the top like this. Not too deep, so it is easy to remove later on. And now I'll dip each cake pop inside the coating and we'll remove it very fast so that the coating is thin and even. I let the coating drip. Then I remove the excess, like this. And I put the cake pop on the tray. So now, having glazed all the cake pops, I wait until the glaze sets completely and becomes matte, like here. And I'll remove the skewers. I'll simply twist them like this, and we'll take them out. After that, I'll place the cake pops in the fridge to defrost, and meanwhile we'll prepare the decoration. To make the decoration for the hedgehog cake pops, I first need to make the marzipan. It is super simple to make, especially if you have the food processor at home. But even if not, you can make it in a stand mixer using the paddle attachment. To make the marzipan, you will need the almond powder, sifted ice and sugar, and a little bit of egg whites to bind the mixture. So the process is simple. I'll combine all the components in the food processor and we'll be adding the egg whites little by little while mixing on medium speed until the mixture turns into a thick paste. After several minutes of blending, the almond powder, ice and sugar and the small portion of egg whites turn into this. Turn into a paste, which is pliable, which looks like this. Perfect. And you can shape anything out of it. You can also play with the ratio of ice and sugar and almond powder. You can use more ice and sugar to create something which is more sweet but easier to work with. It will be really easy to roll, to shape anything, and it will dry out faster. The more almond powder you use, the more flavorful your marzipan will be, but it will release oil faster and it will be quite difficult to shape anything out of it because it will be too soft. So I prefer the ratio 60% almond powder, 40% ice and sugar, but you can change the ratio up to your liking. So now when I have the marzipan ready, I'll show you how to make the decoration out of it. First, I'll scale 2.5 grams of marzipan and then we'll shape them into little balls to create apples. So I'll take the scale. Like this, all the apples will be of the same size. And I roll the marzipan into little balls, like this. Okay, so now I have the apples almost ready. I need 2 apples per 1 hedgehog. So now I'll make little mushrooms. I'll need only 1 per 1 cake pop. To make it, I'll take just a little bit of the marzipan, about 0.4–0.5 grams, shape it into a little ball and then press gently to flatten, like this. And then I take even a smaller portion, I don't even need to scale it, and we'll roll it to create the foot of the mushroom, and then we'll stick it like this. So now after shaping the apples and the mushrooms, I'll put the gloves on and we'll color both the apples and the mushrooms. I'll cover the apples into 2 colors, red and green, and the mushrooms will be colored with the cocoa powder. So first I take the bowl, which will represent the apple. Then I take a little toothpick and I make a little hole on the top, like this, to put the stem inside later on. So like this. I create a cavity, just like in a real apple. And I do the same from the opposite side, but smaller. Like this. Okay. Then I take a brush. I take some red colorant. I'm using the fat-soluble one, but you can also use the water-soluble colorants. This is up to you. And I brush the colorant on the apple. Okay, so the red apple is ready. I'll take a little bit of yellow and we'll add some streaks to create a more natural look. So just a little bit, like this. Okay, so this is ready. I set it aside. And we'll do the same with the rest of the apples. Part of them will be red, part green, and the mushrooms will be covered with the cocoa powder. Now I'll show you how to make the chocolate stalks which will be used for our marzipan apples. Here I have some dark chocolate melted to 30 degrees Celsius. Here is the frozen tray, and now I'll pipe the lines with this chocolate onto the tray. It will set immediately, and I'll use the scraper to cut the chocolate to the desired size. Here we go. So as you can see, the chocolate has already set, and I will cut it into little stalks, like this. Now I'll leave the chocolate to harden for about 20 minutes at room temperature, and then we'll collect these stalks and we'll start decorating the apples. So now when I have the stalks ready, I'll put them inside each apple. Like this, carefully. So now I can start decorating the hedgehogs. First of all, I'll pipe a little drop of dark chocolate to make the nose, and then 2 drops of white chocolate for the eyes. After that, I'll pipe 2 drops of white chocolate to represent the ice. And now, while the white chocolate is still soft, I'll pipe 2 drops of dark chocolate onto it to create the pupils of the eye. After that, I'll dust the hedgehogs with a little bit of non-melting icing sugar, or just a regular icing sugar if you don't have such one. And then we'll place the apples and the mushrooms on top. My hedgehog cake pops are all finished, and don't they look sweet? A simple but effective design impresses both kids and adults. Using sunflower seeds to make the hedgehog spines works really well, and the chocolate coating looks smooth and tells me about the super chocolate flavor inside. Let's cut one open and see how it looks on the inside. Wow, look at that! The texture is extremely moist and seductive. Let's go ahead and try a piece. It's just perfection. The chocolate sponge mixed with the ganache is really rich and mouth-melting. The crunch of the sunflower seeds is a nice textural contrast, as well as a lovely decoration. I think I'll be finishing off the rest of this cake pop. These creative hedgehog cake pops will add something special to any gathering with friends and loved ones. They'll have people smiling at how they taste and how they look.